All right, this is Group One's presentation on formal reports by Michael Espy, Tyler Arwood, and Carmen Graves. Please enjoy. Hi, I'm Michael. I will be starting us off with an introduction to formal reports, and that is the wrong slide. Um, there will be a point in your professional career where you will need to write a formal report. There are many types of formal reports, and you may need to write a report for you. There's many types of formal reports. You may need to write a report for a proposal, an informative report, or an analytical report. There are different types of informal reports. The ones we will talk about are annual reports and progressive reports. The objective of an annual report is to show an organization's financial, administrative situation. You may have to write a progress report stating how well a project is going. The purpose of an informative report is to present facts in order to inform or analyze which fits the formal report mold, because the objective of a formal report is to inform or analyze. You have analytical reports, which purpose would be to persuade. An example of an analytical report would be a problem solving report. Problem solving report would describe a problem and present a solution to the problem. Let's say you had a company that lost market share. The report would make recommendations on how to increase the market share, basically. Another type of report is a formal report, is a formal proposal. A formal proposal outlines the topic of what you are proposing and gives strengths and weaknesses of how those will work in relation to the topic. A type of formal proposal is a business proposal, which outlines the business goal and purpose, as well as why people should buy into the business. These are just some examples of formal reports you may encounter in your professional career. As I said, the goal of a formal report is to either inform or analyze. Formal reports are typically meant for things outside the organization, which is partly why they are formal, um, as opposed to shorter informal reports. Formal reports can be extremely long and detailed, filled with long sentences, complex ideas, and sections and subsections. Formal reports are formal, which means it's going to be closer to academic writing than business writing, and is written in third person. The report will sound more like an order than a conversation, with sentences sounding like the evidence shows that the business should not invest, rather than we do not think the evidence is sufficient. If you're going to use first person point of view, stick to like formal ones, like one instead of like I or we. So like one does something instead of I do something. The overall goal is to create an informative report that sounds professional and formal, displaying information clearly and concise. Formal report design. Your formal report could be a mix of designs ranging from extremely detailed with pictures and colors to gray pages of text. A gray report would look a lot like black letters and dense paragraphs on a gray piece of paper. The purpose of a gray report is strictly to inform people who are serious about the topic. It's meant to draw in your attention or keep you on the page for long. It's simply specific information for specific people. The purpose of a colored report would be to promote the organization through fun pictures, graphs, and attractive professional design. A colorful report is meant to attract the audience to its topic. The type of information in the report is based on who the report is trying to reach and persuade. The design of the report is important and specific to the type of report, though reports will have different designs. They all follow similar formatting. Formal report formatting. Formal reports are highly stylized. They consist of three parts: the front matter, the body, and the back matter. I will talk about the front matter. The front matter is composed of a title page, the letter or memo authorization, the letter memo transmittal, the table of contents, the list of figures and tables, and the executive summary. The front matter introduces the report's contents. It's called the front matter, so you can remember that it's meant for the front because the front matters, um, which implies that it's describing the matter of the front. To structure the front matter, you start off with page numbers. The page numbers for the front matter are different than numbers in the body of a report. The numbers you use for your front matter are Roman numerals. The numbers will show which pages the information is on. For most front matter sections, the information consists of a title page, the letter memo authorization, the letter memo transmittal, and the table of contents, the table list of figures, list of tables, and the executive summary. Each of the following sections has specific things on them. The title page will consist of a number, i.e. page number 1 in Roman numerals. It will have the title of the report, who it's written for, who wrote the report, and the date of the report it's submitted. The formatting for the title page should have all the important words capitalized, like the title of a book. For dramatic effect, it could be boldface with capital letters, with all capital letters. But for the most part, it looks like the title of a book. Keep the font professional. Avoid all cutesy fonts and effects because you want your report to be taken seriously. This is a formal report, so it should be a professionally designed report. The main title and subtitle will be separated by a colon, and there should be a corporate logo somewhere on the page to make it look more attractive and professional. The next section will be the letter or memo authorization. This is the official letter that commissioned the report. If the report was commissioned. Some reports are generated by the author. The format for the memo or letter will be based on whether or not it was commissioned within the organization. If it was within the organization, then it'll be a memo format, but if it was outside the organization, it'll be a letter format. This page will be page 2, Roman numeral 2. This letter typically has 3 parts: the opening paragraph, a description, and a closing. The next section in the front matter is the letter or memo transmittal. The transmittal transmits the report to the group that commissioned it. This will be page 3, Roman numeral 3. The transmittal consists of 3 parts: the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the third paragraph. The first paragraph explains what the report is about. The second summarizes the recommendations, and the third thanks the person who commissioned the report. Though there may not always be an authorization, there will always be a transmittal, because the report will always be written for someone. The overall tone of the transmittal is respectful, and should be thankful as well. Next up, we have page 4, Roman numeral 4, the table of contents. The table of contents is a typical table of contents. It displays the information that is included in the report in numerical order based on the page number and the information it's in. The table of contents shows the main heading section, heading, and subsection heading of the information displayed and corresponding page number. This can mostly be auto-generated for you by whatever application you're using, but there are also websites that will develop one for you. Next up, there's page 5, Roman numeral 5, list of figures and list of tables. This will include all the pictures and charts displayed in your report with corresponding page numbers. This will typically be auto-generated for you, just like the table of contents, but if not, you can get an auto-generating website to do it for you. Page 6, Roman numeral 6, will consist of the executive summary. The executive summary summarizes the entire body of the report. Most reports consist of an abstract and an executive summary. The abstract is very short, and the executive summary can be a couple pages depending on the size of the report. Overall, a general guideline to follow is the executive summary should be roughly 1/10 of the size of an actual report. The structure of the summary follows that of the body of the report. Use the report's headlines and wordings. This is where you put the most important sentences of the report. A good guideline to follow is that each paragraph in the report gets 1 sentence in the summary, and the summary consists of a background, abbreviation of data, and a shortened conclusion. This concludes my portion of the presentation. I hope you learned as much as I did. Thank you.
I'm Tyler Arwood, and I'll be continuing the presentation with the body of the report. Starting with the body, our textbook explains that this is where you develop your argument and present your research. There are 2 ways to organize this: the indirect approach, which is most common for persuasive reports, and the direct approach used when your conclusions are controversial, excuse me. Regardless of the approach, the body always uses Arabic numbering, starting with page 1 at the introduction. The first major section is Introduction and Background. This establishes the report's context by explaining why research was needed, the problem, and the underlying issues. Following this is the mode of analysis or methodology. This describes the research process itself, for example, explaining exactly how surveys were conducted. It's a description of how you did the work, not the results. Next, we have the analysis of the data. This is typically the longest part of the report, and it breaks down the results of research into organized subsections and supports the findings with tables, graphs, and charts. Once the data is presented, we move to the conclusions. This is a detailed discussion on what the research found or accomplished, and it serves as the essential link between the data gathered and the final recommendation. The body ends with the recommendations. This is a concise bulleted list of next steps, and according to the text, these should be short and snappy, and each bullet point should begin with an action verb to provide clear direction to the leader. Next slide. Back matter. This section contains supplemental material that supports your analysis but is too detailed to be included in the main body. The first part of the back matter consists of appendices. These typically contain raw data, detailed tables, and other visuals like maps or technical diagrams. There are 3 specific formatting rules from our text that you can see here. Each appendix must be on individual pages. They must have clear titles so they can be found in the table of contents. And they continue the Arabic numbering from the body of the report. The final component is the documentation of sources. To maintain credibility and avoid plagiarism, you must document all citations. This includes statistics and facts that are not generally known. When documenting, you should use standard styles such as MLA, APA, or Chicago. Your report should include footnotes, which are citations at the bottom of the page, and a works cited section, which is the entire list of sources used at the end of the document. The textbook emphasizes that consistency is key. You must use the same style for your in-text citations and your final reference list to ensure your report is academically and professionally sound. A well-structured body and a detailed back matter section ensure that your report is not only persuasive, but easy to navigate and fully supported by evidence. That's my part of the presentation.
My name is Carmen Graves, and I'm going to discuss surveys, meeting minutes, and the agenda. Next slide. When we begin a formal report, we often find that secondary research, like articles and books, don't answer our specific business questions. This is where primary research comes in. Surveys allow us to gather original current data directly from our target audience. However, the data is only useful if it is valid, meaning it actually measures what you intended to measure, and reliable, meaning the results are consistent. Next slide. How we ask questions determines the quality of our data. Closed questions like multiple choice or yes or no gives us numbers we can turn into charts. Open questions are great for detail, but are harder to quantify. Most importantly, we must avoid leading questions that nudge the respondent towards a specific answer, as this creates bias. The Likert scale is a tool that is used to measure the intensity of a respondent's feelings, such as strongly agree to strongly disagree. They are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, with strongly agreed typically being a 1, and no, strongly agree, typically being a 5, and strongly disagree being a 1. Next slide. These are examples of spreadsheets and graphs that you can create from Likert scale surveys. On the left is an Excel spreadsheet, and on the right is a pie chart. Like I said previously, closed questions are the numbers that can turn the answers into these charts. Next slide. Using the Likert scales effectively, you need to have a neutral ground, such as neutral or undecided. It prevents forcing a respondent into a choice they don't truly hold. And keeping the scale direction the same throughout the survey to avoid confusing the respondent creates consistency. Next slide. This is an example of a meeting agenda. The meeting agenda is given to all of the attendees for the meeting so that they can ask questions or add to the agenda as necessary. Next slide. Now, the minutes of a meeting are used when an organization records who was present, who was absent, what was discussed, what decisions were taken, who was supposed to do what, and so on. The agenda is what we're going to discuss during this meeting. They always begin meetings with an agenda. Next slide. So for meeting formats, minute formats, excuse me, you always have your headers, your attendance, approval of previous meetings, and officer committee reports. And then you have your adjournment where the meeting is ended. Next slide. In conclusion, a formal report has more of a formal style of writing and structure. The sentences are shorter than in academic writing, but a bit longer and more polished than in most business and professional writing. Whether we are writing a survey or a formal report, the style should be polished. More formal than typical business emails, but more concise than academic writing. By combining robust data collection with organized meeting structures, we ensure our projects remain data-driven and our teams stay accountable. This is the conclusion of our presentation. I hope you enjoyed listening to formal reports with us. Thank you.